Let's see, are we working? Not so bad. See, I'm doing my usual thing of being so extraordinarily organised right off the bat. That's the key to my success in all things. I want you to see plenty of what's going on, you see, with the music. I need to raise it. Jimi Hendrix and Iron Maiden DVDs will. There we go. That's that. Fuck off phone. Sorry, making noises. So I hate the way with an old burner phone that it interferes. It interferes with the signal. Anyway, so here we go. Need some top light. Do. So, what usually happens? Oh, excellent. What usually happens is I say, okay, I'm working on this recording right now. I want to carry on working on that, and then I'll just do this like drum track, or I'll just lay down this guitar rhythm track, or I'll just have a quick pass at this solo, and then that's me done, and I don't live stream. It's like that keeps happening. So I want to give a big shout out to Paul Frederick for knocking up the graphics that welcome you to this thing. Wonderful job there. I'm just going to crack on for a second. This is one of my favourite guitars to play. It always puts me in a good mood just playing it. It is in fact a Stag. Take no notice of the lying headstock. I put that orange sticker on it. It's in fact a Stag. It cost me like, well, less than 100 quid. I fucking love it. And it's a wonderful heavy metal guitar. Brilliant. Actually, hair metal, of all things, it really shines. If I'm doing like Maiden sort of thing, this is the guitar that I pick up. It's like easy to summon those sorts of sounds. Not in this mode, perhaps. That does sound booby. Now, here's a tip. Before I touch the EQ section of a boomy sounding amp, why not just remove it from the floor a little bit? So there's a wooden wedge. So now it comes up and it looks at me. So I'm getting I'm on better access with the speaker, and I bet you now it won't be booming. There you go. Or as boomy. This is not a particularly good sound coming out of this really wicked amp, I have to say. I could do a lot better than this. So let's not hesitate. This is the Axel Telecaster. This is my workaday trad layout Telecaster. I know it's got like EMG looking pickups, but they're just cheapo Telecaster pickups. They do the job really well. I've got no problem. I mean, I'm not changing anything on this guitar. I changed the scratch plate and the knobs for very un-Fender-like ones, you know, Gibson speed knob. But that suits the aesthetic of this particular guitar. That's how I like it. See, I haven't warmed up at all. I thought I'm going to play guitar, and then I know exactly what happens. I won't get to streaming. Once I start playing guitar, it's like, fuck all you lot. I'm off in my guitar zone. I don't need humanity. I don't need the 21st century and all of its bullshit. And I'm just gone. My only attachment is to the world is what I'm recording. And that at some point, other people listen to. Apart from that, I'm in like a fucking bubble. And, with my like health concerns and the shape of things going on out there, you can hardly blame me. And I'm sure many other, creative people got broken hearts about the situation, and you can't let it get to you. So what do? You defend yourself, and this is part of how I defend myself, is by living in a fucking bubble of music. Which isn't sounding that interesting, I have to say, right at the moment. Sorry, I'm sure this is all extremely exciting. That's a lot nicer without the acoustic simulator, eh? Oh, fuck yeah. No, I've got to say, the acoustic simulator is pretty naff on the Vox 8020. Oh, that sounds fucking miles better. Oh, that sounds lush. I just couldn't get happy there with the acoustic simulator. I've got to be honest, I turned everything on and I jumped on stream. I haven't warmed up or anything. I wouldn't tune up in front of you. I think it's terrible, but the alternative is not tuning. So, any questions, any requests? I'm really happy to have got to 150 subscribers. That's bloody fantastic. And people that say, like Paul Frederick. So thank you so much, man. Sending me a thing I can use as the thumbnail. It's fucking great, that shit. It means a lot. People sending strings and fucking pedals even. I mean, it's amazing shit. check out this cool little work light. See if you can check it, see if it works. You can barely see it. But I've got a little light and it just lights up everything, doesn't it? Now, like a wanker, I had to try this sound, and it's become one of my favourite sounds. And I mean, it's a model. I'm not going to say what it is. Just enjoy it for the moment, if it is enjoyable. woody that sounds. Well, so sorry, I'm not warmed up at all. I'm playing like a fucking klutz. But that gives you a idea of the sound coming out of the little Vox amp. I paid 70 quid for it. Vox VT20 Plus. And it's never been out of the house. The guy I bought it off of, lovely lad, had a wicked, like Joe Bonamassa guitar. It never been out of the house, and not a fucking mark on it, not a dent, not a scratch. And it could be 10 years, it might be 5 years old, but it could be 10 years old. I think, when did the X come out? I think 4 or 5 years ago, the X came out and replaced this. So it can't be any younger than like 4 years old. And I think they come out in like 2010, so it could be 10 or 11 years old. But not that I give a remote shit, it's a fantastic little thing. And that there, well, I love that particular sound, and it's a fucking Dumble Overdrive special, set to the clean channel 1, with a Klon Centaur in front of it. That's the model anyway, and regardless of whether it sounds anything like the things that it proposes to be, that sounds wonderful. Like, that sounds cool, and it's a sound I use a lot. What I like about it is how dirty I can get it. Dirty enough for thrash, actually, as I'll demonstrate in one moment, I think. Dirty enough for thrash, but I can clean it right up. I mean, it's got a lot of the properties of, well, like the Mark 1 SD1, the original issue SD1. And yeah, I mean, any good valve amp with a tube screamer, I guess, but more transparent than that. More like loose fitting robe. I'm impressed with it. There's things that it does and things that it doesn't do. But it's just a fucking model on a cheap amp. I mean, these amps are 150 quid, thereabouts. I don't think it goes, I don't think they were more than 170. So they're a lot less than 200 quid. Just to get that sound out of an amp, 200 quid, that's pretty fucking good. I don't care what anyone says. Now, the valve technology in it, I tend to dismiss. Had a wonderful conversation with the one who knocks Mr. White. Special regards to you, sir, if you happen to be watching this. You know, we both come from the Stevie Ray Vaughan school of, like, you know, fairly high action. It's easier. Like, if you're bending a string, a low action, you have to have the nails just long enough that it can slide under the string and noiselessly bends your note. With an action that's slightly higher and clears any fret buzz, okay, you can get under the string, and the notes when you hit them are pronounced. And Stevie Ray Vaughan, he's quite like fairly set, beefy strings and a high action, well known for it. And both me and Mr. White come from that school of tone. And we were talking about both how fucking befuddled we are at ZZ Top. Rest in peace, my man. Fucking, their use of like stupidly low action, eights, so really light strings. Sometimes I've heard rumours of sixes and all sorts if they're in standard tune. The eights detuned, drop tuned, so even flappier with even less tension on them, into a fucking Marshall valve state of all things. And yet they get the best sound in the business. So what do we know? What do we know, Mr. White? It is a befuddling one, but it shows you we're just ignorant. But valve states, the humble fucking Marshall valve state is the reason I ended up going the, Fender blackface route in the first place. Hiring a Marshall, and asking for, 50 watt master volume, anything, small box 50 ideally, anything up, DSL, JCM800, whatever the fuck, really, anything that, has that, it's 50 watt with the ability to front end. And then you get there and it's a fucking Marshall valve state combo. So a lot of the time, most of the time. And there I am with this boomy fucking thing. It's got like a wasp in a fucking bean tin for distortion fizzing around. And no matter what I did to the EQ section, I couldn't do anything about it and get this fucking thing to work. And so, that's when John Stevens, rest his soul, suggested to me, then hire clean amps and carry your own drive. So I learned to do that, and it was a change in, I had to change the way that I played to some degree, but the advantage was so massive. I mean, and it literally didn't matter. You know what? Even if they fuck up the ordering, something, as long as I've got a clean channel, even if it's a solid state transistor amp, I'm good. And that the pros outweighed every con. And I was actually happy as Larry. I had to buy a couple of things to bring amps to life. That's where I started using the DRP1, the Marshall DRP1 preamp, which is so small, fits in your pedal board, which back then weren't as popular as they are now. I didn't really use a pedal board back then. I just used to use, like pedals, and it'd be a case of, right, I've got two hard cases. What can I get in them and a rucksack on my back, basically? And yeah, it was a case of portability, and the DRP1 had that where the JMP1 didn't. I'm talking about Marshall preamps, which then later morphed into the Governor, which even just as a pedal on the floor going right into the very front end, did a much better job at the same thing. Similar, I have to say, DRP1, very overlooked bit of kit, well worth looking into. If you can get hold of a DRP1, they're very out of favour, they're very overlooked. You can still pick them up for like 25 quid. To people, to anyone that's a collector that wants to like future-proof, get yourself DRP1. An insanely useful bit of kit, very overlooked. Anyway, yeah, that's changed my everything. But then I started, and that's when I learned the joys of the Fender Clean. Because not only was it like a pedal platform, actually the clean sound in its own right became increasingly addictive to me. And that was when a comedy of errors occurred, where my finger picking was picked up on by John Stevens and crew, and actually pushed me out to using an acoustic and doing support slots for other bands. So it all had a very huge effect, really. Anyway, So very skeptical of amps with valves in the preamp section, like the valve state. But this is something else. Apparently, it's the same, a 12AX7, same fucking bullshit as everybody else pulls. But apparently, it's employed in the power section as well. There's a certain amount of push-pull going on, or something. I don't know. I read it in the manual online anyway. And but it certainly behaves, especially when I'm in AC30 settings. It really behaves in a valvey way. It's got that raspy nature that you can rein in somehow with your fingers. I can't even describe a lot of it. Well, I can. It basically acts like a valve. It seems to respond to player input, not just like volume detection, but really responds to player input. The way that you can sort of like, carve the notes. Very much like a tube amp. Very much like an AC30. It doesn't seem to have, like, the AC30 model doesn't seem to have gone for the easy shots of, like, nice, the chiming bell sound of an AC30. No, they seem to get that fucking overdriven raspiness, that fucking lovely, like, that an AC30 does, like it's licking its lips. Do you know what I'm on about? But it has that. It's beautiful. I have to give massive props to this little box. The effects section in this little box. Every player should have one of these. So there's two Vox items I bought in a row that have, this one in particular. These are all 80 quid from Amazon. Right, just go and get one. If you'd spend that on a good chorus, Chris, you'd spend that on a good tremolo, right? 80 quid. You'd be like, that's quite cheap. Just get one of these as a tremolo pedal, and just get it for that. Bypass everything and just use a tremolo, right? Even have it on a foot expression, so you can like either bleed it in or you can control the rate. You can either go dry to wet or you can go like slow to fast. Buy it for that and nothing else, and then start fiddling it around with what all the other things it does. I'm not joking when I say it, even to someone like who's like a Puritan. Chris is a Puritan. Chris Hodgson is a tonal Puritan, and he gets a great tone. Even he needs one of these. Headphones. Anyway, the effects systems between the two Vox products are nothing alike. A couple, like the Filtron, exactly the same. Like there's one called Brown Octave, and that's exactly the same. There's a couple of effects that are exactly the same, but most of them aren't. The AC30 isn't. I think the AC30 is better on this than it is on that. The Stomp Lab takes the easy choice of like, oh, we'll get that Vox chimey model. But it has none of that back and forth like thing going on. It has none of that, like, where the tone literally wraps around your hand like a glove, and you can. It's hard. Brian May's the man for it, I'm sure. But like Brian May can really sort of take his notes sort of to like a subharmonic or an extra super harmonic, like on the end of his fingers without any effects. Like he can make it ring and shine in a certain way or sustain in a certain way. That's an AC30 thing, and this sound really does that. So there's two sounds there. The stupid Clon into Dumble model makes me puke just saying it, but it sounds great. And the AC30 Brian May model, incredible. Anyway, I'm just talking shit now. Let me think. I've got to be honest, I haven't been streaming a lot because I'd rather spend my time playing and just enjoying the playing, which is kind of what I want to do now, but I'll stick at it. Bomb. So as I say, any requests or anything, whack them into the stream. Maybe I should play some studio stuff. Yeah, I've been recording loads. This is going terribly, isn't it? All right, I'm gonna say one thing and then wrap up. Um, I'm not focusing on the channel at the moment. Forgive me for that. I'm focusing on the recording, which is kind of quite a monumental task up ahead. But I will focus down the line on the channel somewhat. And one thing that really bugs me online is people that think they know what they're talking about, that denigrate other players that just have enthusiasm. Now, I've been playing for 30 plus years. There are some people that actually respect, my playing. I have to give Nick Manson a fucking shout out. That was a lovely thing you said. I saw on the there was like a voting board for like something to do with Chichester buskers, and Nick wrote something lovely on that. Anyway, it pisses me off, like people getting bullied online because of guitar gear. Like, right, you're not going to get far in this game if you're going to be a cunt to other people. Simple as that. Okay, it's really basic. Let me just say it again, right, so that you understand exactly what I'm saying. You will not do well in music if you treat other musicians like a cunt, if you're a cunt to them. Okay? In music here, we are completely dependent on the relationships that we build. And this is a place where you can be shy and you can have a completely artistic temperament, and you'll be completely that won't hold you back any. Okay, it won't. I promise you. You can be as shy in your shell as you like, right? As long as you get the job done, and you can. I mean, there are fucking great musicians, better than me out there, that really don't understand that they're good. They're so in their shell, so shy, they don't understand how fucking amazing they are, what a bright light they are. And it must be scary anyway to go out and shine and be a bright light. It's scary because it's like, oh, I'm fucking going to play to this mob of cunts. I'm going to show all my delicate insides to this mob of wankers, like thugs. And that is intimidating, right? But the audience is also your best friend, and they are the ultimate judge on who succeeds and who falls by the wayside. Okay, they are the alpha and omega. If you just want to play to yourself or to your dog, just play to yourself and to your dog. Even with a thing like YouTube here, you can even just do that and still garner a fan base. That's the fucking beauty of the world we live in. Okay, don't say that anything's holding you back, because it really isn't. Not now. Just do what you love. Do what live to your passion. Life is too short to let other people dictate your choices, and to not if there's a fork in the road and one fork is like, you're going to appreciate this life every minute. That's the way to go. Life's too short for living for other people or anything like that. Other people's expectations, like not wanting to disappoint other people. Fuck other people. Not saying to be selfish, but when it comes to what you do with your life, the course that your life goes on, you're the only one that's going to have to be held responsible for it at the end. Nobody else is going to be standing there saying, like, it's going to be down to you. You're going to be the one held accountable for your actions in the end. Okay, if it succeeds, you'll reap the profits. If it fails, or you do something incredibly or criminal, yeah, you're the one that pays the consequences. Okay, so live for you, right? The music is a great place to do that if that's what you want to do. Music's very, very accommodating of strange spirits and square pegs in round holes and things like that. And it's certainly no place for snobbery. It's certainly no place to be like denigrating people on a materialistic level. Like, fuck all that, dude. Out you go. But it's there. It's there online every day. I see such comments. So I'm going to tell you something. I'm a songwriter, and I write music, as you know. This here is a 2,250 quid Manuel Remundu 145 Negra. Yeah. It's the 145. I keep calling it a 148. Anyway, it's a beautiful flamenco guitar. Since owning this special beast, I've written things on it. It's a special guitar. I will never sell it. Every day I play it, and every day I try and learn it more and try and be worthy of it. It is a guitar that means a lot to me. There's a story there. You know, I'm on the lowest economical run in Great Britain, and yet I have managed to get a Manuel Remundu flamenco guitar. This is from 1978. It's spruce is sourced from the German mountainside. Okay, I'm not going to get into it. Let's just say it is a superior nylon string guitar. This is a 30 quid encore you can get from any charity shop in England. It's got a laminated spruce top. It's got a God knows what shitty looking grain back inside with like the cheapest sort of food dye red sort of thing. But the neck is dead straight. The action is fairly, low. It's not terrible, and it plays wonderfully. This guitar, since owning the Manuel Remundu, I've still written music on this guitar. Okay? This guitar still has music to give to me. Like, there's a big difference between playing the two guitars, but the end results, what do you know? What do you know? Out of the two, did it really make a big difference to you listening? Did it make a difference? I got the same pleasure of being a guitar player on a working guitar out of both of them, a fairly equal pleasure. Now this guitar, John Leahy, bless you John Leahy, shout out, sorted me out with an electroacoustic guitar. When mine died, the bridge popped off it, and there'd been so much failure, and this had sunk so much, and this had risen so much. It's not something that bothers this guitar, I'll point out, that it was beyond repair. My electroacoustic, which had been given to me by Sergeant. Oh God. Shit. Oh, it's because I'm on camera. It's not. Never mind. That guitar was done. John Leahy sorted me out with a lovely fucking dreadnought, not far off of what I've got now. And when I was homeless, like all my music stuff went into storage, but I was busking a bit, like helping me survive, really. So the guitar was with it. Cut long story short, it got fucking sold by fucking crackheads, and I was without a busking guitar. I was without an acoustic guitar, and yeah, I was homeless, and I would spend my, a good chunk of the day in the day centre, the glassworks in Chichester, which to someone that doesn't know, it's just like a front room and a kitchen for 50p a day to anyone who's actually registered homeless. So 50p a day, you can go in there and you can drink as much tea as you like. There's a lunchtime, you can sit and watch fucking Jeremy Kyle. You can use the computer. If any of you remember, I used to only be online at very specific hours, and it was when I went in to use their computers in there. Stone Pillow, it's run by the Glassworks, the day centre. And I was staying in there one day, and I was in there one day, and they were like, Tim, are you still without a guitar? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, And they went into the office, and they come out with this, and it had a little ticket on it, and it said, for Tim Fox. Now, what they do at Stone Pillow is they run like charity shops themselves. One's called Restore, and it's like furniture gets donated, and they sell it predominantly to homeless people that get housed. This had come in, and so one of the staff or someone had said, I thought, Tim Fox, he's without a guitar. Send that up to him. Send it to the day centre with my name on it. So, and Stone Pillow gave it to me. So when I was at my absolute lowest, I had no means of busking at that time. These people, Stone Pillow in Chichester, that run the hostel, that run the day centre, we've been donated a guitar. Tim needs a guitar, and that's what they did. And that's the sweetest fucking thing you can imagine. It's like, what can you say to that? So, I was back afloat, and I had and importantly, although I had music stuff and it was in storage, okay, and in fact, like a Yamaha APX that wasn't mine, in a hard case, I couldn't take that out with me homeless, for fuck's sake. It's a 90s guitar. It's worth $1,000 or so, round that area. Maybe like 1,200 quid. But it's like, I couldn't afford to replace it. And, my fucking dreadnought, look what happened to that. You fall asleep in the wrong house, basically. So that had to stay in storage. I couldn't, and it wasn't, if it was mine, I might have got myself a gig bag and used it. Maybe, because it's a bowl back. It's not a bowl back, but it's like it's like a resin board back and sides. So they're very weatherproof, those sorts of guitars. But somebody else's fucking £1,000 fucking vintage electroacoustic, I don't really want to find out whether it's weatherproof. Let's put it that way, right? You understand me, surely, right? And I'm living, I haven't got a fucking penny, because you could say, well, somebody who's got like all those instruments in storage, why the fuck you don't need charity from these? There is some truth to that. But I don't give a fuck. That was a lovely gesture. I will never forget it. I still write on this guitar. Like for instance, I'll give you it for instance, okay? I was really lucky with that Manuel Remundu. I don't know if you know the story behind it or not, but basically that cost me the same amount as this. Well, if I'd bought this, I got that for 30 quid. Okay, I got that for 30 quid, legit. Out of a fucking furniture shop that sells guitars occasionally. The sort of shop that like sells stuff. People that are involved with house clearances and stuff like that. It just sells sort of everything, household everything. Furniture to fucking a toaster, toys. And I got it. I got that and the snakeskin strap. Don't know if you can just see it there. Snakeskin strap. I got them both for 100 quid. The snakeskin strap was up to like 85 on the wall. And so I figure I paid 70 quid for it's 100 quid for both, and I paid 70 quid for the Strat and 30 quid for the Manuel Remundu. I didn't know that it was anything special at the time. I'm not up on these things. Anyway, I'm not an expert in classical guitars, flamenco guitars. As you can tell if I put these two in the same bracket, but I do. Okay, what I'm trying to say to you is like, it doesn't really matter much. I own a fucking plus £2,000 classical guitar, and I own a piece of shit Encore that you can buy in any fucking charity shop in England for 30 quid. And I tell you what, I love them both, and I use them both, and I play music on both. And I'd like to think that like I'm worthy of the Manuel Remundu. Maybe I'm not. That's up to you. And I'd like to think that I'm worthy of this, which was fucking given by the peak of humanity. The very peak, the very best emotions of humanity supplied this guitar. Who supplied your guitar? But that's what I mean. It's humbling, okay? Never judge somebody on their equipment. If I'm playing this, you don't know the depth of meaning that might be being expressed in the music being played on this, okay? It might be far more than what's on the Remundu. We don't know. Only I know. I'm an artist, and I know what goes in and what goes out, the intention behind it. All you know is whether you like it or not, and whether you like it or not is the supreme adjudicator of whether it's good or not, really, and that's totally personal, totally subjective. Oh, hello. Somebody dialed in. Hello, Sandra. Dialing in just as I'm about to wrap up. But yeah, so that is the rant, essentially, the rant about people giving people with cheap shit a hard time. It's like it because it means less than nothing. Yeah. Good to see you, Sandra. I'm literally about to wrap up, but that's the story. I've written tunes on both, and I can't see that will change. Oh yeah, that was it. There's this one thing. I've been learning this like goofy style of playing where you tap the body. I hate it. It's like so douchey to me, but I like it when John Martin does it. There are some really good exponents of that style, and I'm very ignorant to it. So I've been trying to sort of learn that. So I was learning this riff. Basically, you do a couple of chords with a boom and a crack. And because I'm a novice at it, it's much better to sort of have an Encore 30 quid classical guitar to be learning that on and dinging the top with your thumbnail, and bashing. Because I'm moving in ignorance, it's like I'm not moving with any grace at this point in time. And so like I'm kind of protecting the, 2,000 plus quid guitar from being bashed with a thumbnail. So it's like even on the most basic technical level, there is a reason to have one of these around. And but yeah, like I'm giving pretty short shrift to people that denigrate other people's gear, no matter what it is. And it's like there's always some you should have got the fucking some fucking poor kids like I just got a fucking little Marshall MG 15R and like fucking wicked, it's made weekend, and it's like I'm getting proper sound now. It's much better than the shit box I had. And then some wanker will say, "Oh, you're a fucking idiot. Go and kill yourself. You should have got the 15FX. Is the really good sounding one." And they're really just, and it's like they just, and make this poor kid feel like shit, because some people, like, when you're a kid, you're an impressionable kid. You haven't got the strength of character to not give a fuck about what people think. Well, I hope you have, but it's not usual at that age. And a novice is always a bit insecure, in their fucking, choices and whatnot. So you don't need people just bashing your fucking gear choices. You're picking peanuts out of shit anyway. That example that I gave there, it's like that is the sort of crap that I come across all the time. And they are literally arguing over nothing, over shit. Like, it's just like, you know what? Like, whatever choice, it's like there's always something good to be found. And it's like, this is a place like where if you're not 100% positive and encouraging, you can really go and fuck yourself, because like there'll be someone else that is positive and encouraging to take your place. And like you don't get anywhere in music without building relationships. It's like, the people that if you do gigs and stuff, it's like the people that you book gigs with, it's like if they think you're a cocksucker, you're not coming back. It just simply doesn't get you anywhere. So it's like, be nice. And so I'm being especially forceful when I see such comments at the moment, and I get a little bit of backlash, like fucking, I started to get some cunts now come and visit the channel just because, like, I've held their feet to the fire on some bullshit, and it doesn't bother me at all. It's like, how is it going to? It's like I honestly, I spend my life living inside my bloody music, and it's a fucking awesome way to live. It's like, I fucking love it, and the health issues and stuff. It's like I really appreciate every minute of it. So you're not gonna ruin my day. Um, some conversation about fucking music equipment, which is just boring as shit at the end of the day. Um, but yeah, that is my rant. So the channel, Sandra, you've come late to the party. I was basically, this conversation started where I was like, I've not been doing anything online because I'm focusing on the recording at the moment. It's like I'd rather be just sort of playing and with the focus. And it's like, literally, like I wake up and I do it and I go to sleep, and it's been like 100% of my living day, and I love it. And I'm apologizing basically for not doing much on the channel. I should have done my 150 subscriber special because I'm well chuffed about that. But where I'm going to point the channel towards is making people getting more sort of beginners on board and working on their techniques and how to use the equipment you've got and things like that, and very much focused on like upbuilding or strengthening the resolve of novice musicians, and trying to beat off some of these fucking people that just knock them down about gear choice. So I use the classical guitars, like the really expensive and the really cheap classical guitars, as an example of like, look, it really doesn't matter. And how would you know? By looking. It's like, it's you just get on with it. It's like possible to make good music on both. It's like, they're equally good tools to make good music at the end of the day. Like if I was playing one or either, I don't deserve to be bashed just because of that. It's like, judge me on my playing in it, if anything. And even with that, crikey, you get the only time that I think someone should be bashed is if they're too full of themselves. So I'm certainly not immune. But yeah, if they're like a real blowhard about how good they are at something and then they're not, that deserves to be bashed. But even then, in a friendly way, because wouldn't it be bad? Wouldn't the best result be if they came back really good, and you like wanted to work with them on the spot? So it's like, always it should be with a positive outlook. So yeah, there is going to be some sort of a reframing and refocusing of the channel a bit to that, and I want to be doing more sort of like doing lessons basically. and all things, it's like recording at home and stuff. There's a place. There are certain places where I think I've got like the authority to sort of say something like home recording. It's like that's somewhere where I've almost got like a bit of I could sort of say because it's like I've not got the ability right now to get the video. I mean, it's like I've been a sound engineer for a band, I've been a sound engineer for a club, I've been a monitor engineer for a big band. It's like I have, cut my tooth on some good things out there. And I would perhaps talk about that more, but I haven't really got anything to go with it. I'm sat in a home studio fucking 99.9% of the time. So this is perhaps what I should talk about. But when and if I can get out there again and, and video it and have that content, I'll introduce some of that a bit more. But that's not to say I won't share some of the stories from those times. Now, if Malco ever joins the stream again, I'll tell the story about the Wilco Johnson coily lead. And I think I'll leave it at that. All right. It's double choc mocha. And a bit of critical mass in the bong. And I have been resting up. It's like I have been taking it easy, but I've also been walking the dog every day. It's I've been cycling down to the town almost every day to get heavy shopping. But I am taking it easy. I'm much better, and I'm fucking hardcore loving what I'm doing. Yeah, this has been a great. This has been a wonderful acquisition, the little Vox amp. It's been awesome. I've got to get back to it, to be honest. I can't sit here and waffle anymore. Malco! Oh, wow. Okay. Right. So there was a series of double headers with 9 Below Zero. I used to work for 9 Below Zero, and there was a series of double headers with like Wilco Johnson, which at the time consisted of this like young fella on the drums, young Scottish fella, and Norman Watt Roy on the bass. So it was awesome. I mean, you'd get these fucking gigs where there's like 200 people per gig. And there's Jerry McAvoy of fucking, Roy Gallagher fame on bass in one band and fucking Norman Watt Roy in the other. It's 200 fucking people. Anyway, fucking, like, I'm a serious-minded guitar tech back then, and like, Wilco Johnson uses this fucking ridiculous long coily lead, which is long but not long enough that it doesn't pick up off the ground. When he plays, and they didn't have like we had the sound engineer and we had all the guitar techs and all that. 9 Below had all the stuff, like they just had themselves. Wicked band. So I'm talking to, I get on Wilco Johnson's case, not knowing really who he is at the time. I'm only young. I get on his case about this coily lead, and I'm like insisting, that he tries a straight one, and he was so nice about it, and I've never even seen them before. This is before I've seen them play live, and so in the sound check, like it gets to the point where I'm like forcing him to use the straight lead, and bless him, he does, and he uses straight lead, and it's a really long lead, long enough but not so long, you know what I mean? But and he somehow managed to pull the Fender Twin. There's like a Fender Twin on the flight case lid for the Fender Twin, And he somehow managed to pull it off, and it's like that should be impossible. So there was that, and he didn't move around towards his sound check, and he was like, "Do you think that's better?" That's fucking. Anyway, first like 10 minutes of the gig uses the straight lead, and just stares at me a couple of times, and in the end he pings it out. He's got the coiled lead, and in between one or two, it's like in between either after the first or the second song, you put the coily lead back in, and then it was like a fucking a button had been pressed, a switch had been thrown. It was like fucking this dude comes alive, it's like he's jiggling around on the stage, and making a point of like staring right at me. I'm sat, on the monitor desk, outside the stage, and I was like, fucking hell, it was like a spaceman, and he was to the limit. It's like to the limit. I was so fucking convinced that Fender Twin was going to fall off, with the coily lead. Like that was another one of my arguments, because it's like it goes right to the point where it's off the floor, and 2 feet off the fucking ground, but it never did. And then I made him use a straight lead, basically, which was like, it was 40 feet long. So it's like, it was right. It was long enough, but not too long. And he manages to pull the Fender and with the straight lead. And then he was just dull. It's just like it did nothing. He did nothing. Like he's just playing, standing dead stock still, until he had the coily lead back. As soon as he's got the coily lead back, he's like, and just it blew my mind. And that fucking that lead never touches the fucking ground. That lead never touches the ground. And I didn't know. And it's like, and I wonder how many times he's had to put up with that fucking crap from some smart aleck young twat that doesn't know what he's talking about. At the end of the day. Yeah. Oh my goodness. The one who knocks Mr. White. Excellent. Right. So good to see you. I might carry on for a bit. But yeah, sorry, like that. Yeah. Fuck's sake. Yeah. But fucking, it's like you can think, you can think you know what you're talking about, but really you don't, and half the time, it's like, yeah, going back to the earlier conversation, that Mr. One who knocks Mr. White, talking about the fucking eights on the ZZ Top with the valve states and the eights, detuned eights, and like Mr. White too comes from a place, Stevie Ray Vaughan place, it's like, a low action. I don't get on with a low action. It's like, it's like pushing the string above it. I can't slide my nail underneath it noiselessly and do a nice long bend. Also, those slack strings take a lot more fretboard to bend 2 steps than does the tighter string, which takes less fretboard to bend the 2 steps. There's a lot of physics behind why, the likes of me and Mr. White believe that, a reasonably high action and pretty thick strings are the better tone. A guitar just doesn't sing without them. It'll flop. And yet, fucking Z, the best tone in the business. So you think, well, I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm an idiot, actually. And you have to maintain that humble attitude. Hello, Pat Scanlon. Oh, bless you, Malcolm. Yeah, I can't stand curly leads because it's like it goes against the mathematics of the physics of like you're supposed to be conscious of like how long it is practically between your playing and the amp, and there should be just enough slack and not a fucking centimeter more, because if you go to great lengths, I don't, obviously I'm always, But it's like if you go great lengths to get a great tone, you don't want any lead just like knocking off your low and high. And it really does make a difference. I mean, it's like it's something that can be tangibly measured, like how much lead actually fucks with your tone. But then you can go totally down the rabbit hole on that. It's like having like, why have two tone controls on a Strat? That's just choking it, technically speaking. It's like but they make the Strat what it is. It's like I couldn't have a Strat not done up the 50s way. It's like it's just perfect and beautiful. But yeah, fucking A. Damn it, I was just wrapping up. Oh, everyone joins as I wrap up. But I've got nothing more to say now. I've said all the important stuff. And but yeah, suffice to say, I'm well rested. I'm happy, and I'm recording like a motherfucker. Malco, I'm glad that your GoPro wasn't charged up and you could just focus on the recording in hand. We'll have a look. We'll have a look in good time. We shouldn't see it all. You should always, But yeah, look forward to that, because honestly, if any of you haven't checked out Malco's channel, please do. And he's doing a thing with a band. I think Nexus might be the name. I can't remember. But it's or the track was called Nexus Gun. But it's cracking little proper British sound. Like it's a proper proper sort of honest rock, like Deep Purple when they were good. Like early days Iron Maiden. Judas Priest, early days, it's like a proper honest, tone, really solid band, solid vocalist, solid everybody. But yeah, Malco, you've done a great job with that tone. It's like a proper nice, dirty little honking tone. Sounds great. So be interested to hear what comes out of the studio. Let me just catch up with it. Oh, bless you, Pat. Yeah, wicked. But I'm gonna call it quits anyway. But fucking glad to have you here, and I will be back, and I'm gonna sort of reframe the channel just slightly, as I said, towards the defense of skint musicians with apparently shit gear. Nothing's holding you back. Bless you, fucking Mr. White. Bless you, Malco. Thanks so much. Sandra, bless you. Thanks so much. I will be watching. If any of you have not seen the Squatch Squad channel or Fruitcake Tony, look into those things. These are wonderful things. Right. I shall definitely stream again soon. God bless you. And rock on.